This ESPN podcast is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com.
The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report. We are hijacking the Jalen and Jacoby podcast, merging them together and making a big podcast baby.
Podcast party.
It's Thursday, late morning Pacific time. The NFL draft is later today. 3 playoff games tonight, 3 tomorrow night. I don't know what series in the first round I'm excited about. Maybe Nuggets Warriors? Is that our best chance for a Game 7, Jalen?
It is our best chance, especially the way Golden State responded. And when a lot of people looked sideways when Mark Jackson said Curry and Thompson are the best, quote-unquote, shooting backcourt ever.
In the history of the game.
With apologies to Gail Goodrich and Jerry West, that's actually an accurate statement, Jacoby. There have been another backcourt, Steve Nash and Joe Johnson, who both shot better from three, 45% and 43%, or 48% and 43%, which outdid the two gentlemen in Golden State. But other than that, they've been lights out. Now, does that mean that they're going to go undefeated and win a championship? No, but it does mean they have a bright future.
And the volume, though, the volume that they shoot is a lot higher than Nash and Johnson.
I would say they're the best three-point shooting backcourt in history.
Correct.
I'm not ready to do the best shooting. And we never really have determined what best shooting means versus best long-range shooting versus best three-point shooting. You know, like that goes back to the Dirk versus Larry argument, who was a better shooter. Like Dirk was probably a more efficient shooter. But Bird was a better, like, falling out of bounds type shooter. So I don't know what that means.
Even in today's game, I've heard a lot of people say Steph Curry is the best shooter in the league. They forget that there's actually a 50-40-90 guy that averaged over 27 points named Kevin Durant, who also has the responsibilities to shoot going towards the hoop off the backboard, has the responsibilities to shoot off the post, left, right shoulder, face-ups. He has more versatility with his shot. So KD is first, but Steph Curry is second.
I think KD makes more types of shots, but Curry is like automatic from 24 feet now. Like, I'm shocked when it doesn't go in.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is all like a matter of semantics because, like, I think Jordan's Game 6 in '98 was the best game anyone's ever played, but he went like 14 for 34. But it's like sometimes you got to throw out the stats and look at the context and who your teammates are, what the defense is trying to do. Like he was playing it. Pippen was crippled. Rodman was probably drunk. And then he was with a bunch of like 10 fans. Yeah, whatever. And he had to win that game because if that series goes to Game 7, Utah's winning the title. So he had to knock him out there. He's 35. He played 100 games. He's wiped out. Every possession has to go through him, and they won the title.
I'll up your Game 6 Bulls at Utah with my Game 6 Lakers at Sixers. Magic Johnson jumping center. Basically had a triple-double, scored 40-plus points with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out. That is my favorite and the best individual game.
Hey, Jamal Wilkes at 37 that game. Like, at least he had one other person. You look at that Bulls game, and it's like he got a little bit of Tony Kukoc at one point, and that was it. It's an amazing game to watch. But, I don't know. You don't pay that much attention to the advanced stats.
I do.
But, I mean, in terms of how you feel about players, you don't let it affect you too much. Like, you're still an eye test kind of guy, as evidenced by your absurd defense of Rudy Gay over there.
I take it into account, but the numbers don't account for a lot of things. So while it's not the end-all, be-all, it is something that I consider.
Maybe we should make Jacoby the judge for our Rudy Gay debate.
I'm in.
Tell him your part about the part about Rudy Gay that transcends stats, in your opinion, what the pressure he puts on the other team.
The Celtics right now and the Memphis Grizzlies both have the same problem. You put 90 points on the board. You could write it down right now. Look at their roster. How are they going to get there? They have problems scoring. The Celtics are without Rajon Rondo. Therefore, that's going to suppress their offensive attack. They have two older players that they're relying on in Paul Pierce and Garnett, who can't get you 25 or 30 consistently. Now, how does that relate to Memphis? You look at their wing players. Not only did they lose Rudy Gay, but they lost Wayne Ellington, who's a three-point shooter that spreads the floor. I've seen Rudy Gay at 6'8" go one-on-one against LeBron James and make a game-winning shot. I've seen him do the same thing versus Kevin Durant. That's very tough to do. Not many players in the league can do that, and that's the player they're missing the last 3 games when you see now Mike Conley has to be that last-second decision maker, and that's really asking too much of him as a player.
What'd you think of that?
It didn't have a lot to do with Rudy Gay.
It was more the symbolism of Rudy Gay.
Yeah.
So that's my issue.
Last year, Rudy Gay last year in the playoffs averaged 19 points on 42% shooting. The Memphis Grizzlies could use that production right now.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the Clippers-Grizzlies game, and I would say my argument, pro-Rudy Gay argument, would be watching that game, you could see that they missed Rudy Gay. You could see that they missed somebody that could be a knockdown shooter and play defense.
What are they missing, though? Because, he can't shoot jump shots. He's one of the worst jump shooters in the league.
I'll tell you what they're missing. A player on the wing that's between 6'5". I like what Bayless is doing, but remember, he's under 6'4". You always need a player in today's game between 6'5" and 6'9" that could create offensively off the dribble as well as make the other team's wings work. Who's making Caron Butler, Matt Barnes, Jamal Crawford work for the Clippers? No one.
So this is the best part of your argument, and Magic made the same thing, that just because Rudy Gay is there, now the Clippers have to worry about the chance that he might have a good Rudy Gay game, which unfortunately doesn't really happen anymore. It happens once every 3 weeks. But at least they have to account for that. When Tayshaun's out there, they know he's going to score between 6 and 9 points. He's not going to do anything.
Let's look at their starting lineup. So you got ground and pound, Gasol and Zach Randolph. When they're both playing at their best, Marc Gasol could be 15 and 10. Zebo could be 20 and 10. The perimeter players, Tony Allen, he's not going to score 10, but he's going to give you lockdown defense. Conley's inconsistent offensively.
Yeah.
He's not really a threat all of the time.
Looked great
Chris
in the last
Paul
game.
can rest a lot of times on him, but he was excellent in game 2. And Tayshaun Prince is not going to get you double figures.
But they're much better defensively with him. Rudy Gay was not playing good defense the last couple of years.
Let me tell you something.
Especially transition D.
You have to make great players work on both ends of the floor. You can play defense on me all day, but if I'm resting on the other end, I'm still going to attack and be fresh. That means
what does that do with Rudy Gay not playing defense?
Here you go. That means if I have to guard, if LeBron James has to guard Tayshaun Prince or Rudy Gay, he's resting on one. So regardless of how well a D they're playing against him, he's still in attack mode. He's still going to play his game.
Well, there are 2 problems with. I actually like the trade. I'm glad they did it. Zebo is not the same guy he was 2 months ago. I think he re-aggravated his knee, and it's pretty easy to stop him now. I think I've been shocked by that. I thought he was going to kill the Clippers, and he's not doing that. And then the Tayshaun part of it, you're basically hoping he gets rejuvenated being in a good team. He didn't look good. He's not looking good in these playoffs. He looks washed up.
I like the youngster Davis that they have. Poindexter's giving him solid minutes.
Would you rather have Jose Calderon than Prince?
I would.
Yeah.
I would rather have Jose Calderon.
I think that was the mistake with that trade. I just would have kept Jose Calderon.
I agree.
And then if you're going 2-guard, go 2-guard with him and Conley. But I think they were they wanted the wing defense of Prince. But I just don't think he's. Either way, I don't think they're winning the title. And that's why I didn't mind the trade, because they were able to get rid of it. Do you want to pay Rudy Gay $19 million next year?
No.
The salary cap's going to be 53.
There's a lot of Jared Bayless. A lot of Jared Bayless.
A
lot of Jared Bayless. I mean, it's an opportunity cost thing with Gay. The argument's almost like if you have Gay, you have less Jared Bayless.
Right. Well, this is what we were talking about walking over. You asked me if the Celtics had a chance in Game 3, and I was like, all I know is there was a lot of Jordan Crawford in Game 2. They're clearing out for him in the playoff game. When we need a basket, everyone's like, get out of Jordan's way.
Give it to Jordan Crawford.
I really think the Celtics might get swept. I'm genuinely concerned. You talked about pencil them in. Can you pencil them in for 90? I think 80 is a problem. I don't know if they can get to 80.
And you look at Carmelo Anthony, he's going to get you 30, whether he's taking 30 shots.
They're getting 50 combined.
That's 50.
Yeah.
So another 8 guys in the rotation, you could just asking them to score 80.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 50 minus,
50,
you're asking them to score 40 points. In theory, if you want to get to 90, Melo and JR go get you 50.
Mm-hmm.
You're only asking 10 other guys to get you 40. That's manageable.
We need to get KG and Pierce PEDs pronto.
Something. How
Right
many
now.
deer antlers does it take?
Yeah, exactly.
Why can't they start cheating? KG's going to retire at the end of the year. Just start doing stuff. Loading your body, KG.
Every buck in Massachusetts has no antlers right now.
But I disagree with you. The Celtics will not get swept.
Really? Tell me why.
That's not going to happen.
I would love for them not to get swept.
They're going to play with so much pride and emotion and intensity. And
I would have said that in game 1. They lost by 8.
But when you're playing on the road like the Knicks are going to, like Carmelo and JR, more so JR than Melo, both have this. They take and make tough shots, contested shots, fall away shots, one leg shots. And you look at their body language and you're like, that's off. And it goes in. More so at home. Those shots don't necessarily go on the road. Like the one that JR made when he went behind his back and he shot 37 feet right before the end of the quarter and he wound it up like A-Rod in the commercial.
But why would those go in at home, not on the road?
Momentum.
Is it a comfort thing?
It's
like
a comfort
you're used
thing.
To the
Like
gym?
a crowd
Do you feel that way?
14-2 home teams are in this year's playoffs. Same in college, same in high school.
How much of that is, break this down, pie chart. Home crowd rooting for you.
50.
Comfort of being in your own gym that you've shot in
25.
all the time. Sleeping in your own bed.
5.
Same routine, your house, having all your stuff versus being in a hotel.
10.
Not being on the road where you could get in trouble.
5. So then the other 5% is just miscellaneous. And they're
let's talk about miscellaneous.
Let's dig deep into the miscellaneous. Well, some people say is there more pressure at home? Is there more extraneous things to deal with in terms of ticket requests and like people trying to get at you and things like that? Like people have said that on the road, this actually takes a little bit of the miscellaneous pressure off.
These guys are professional athletes. And they understand how many tickets they're going to have. They understand who they want to have in the game. They understand that their wife may be sitting in this section, so you got to get tickets for your girlfriend in a section on the opposite side of the arena. These are things that are standard, man. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. They got it all covered.
How many sections does the wife and the girlfriend have to be apart? Has to be at least 2, right?
No, they have to be on opposite sides of the building.
Opposite sides of the building?
Yes. Normally the family section tickets are
behind the bench.
Behind the bench. So therefore, the miscellaneous section has to be on the total opposite side.
We used to call it, because that's where my dad, we used to, actually we still do, sit near the wives section, which we eventually started calling the girlfriend section. But then there's another section that you could kind of see across the way.
Roadkill. Is that section.
And in Boston, that section's going to stand out a little more because it's not exactly a diverse crowd. So if you put about 7 or 8 attractive African-American ladies in one place on the other side, and they're all dolled out, you'll notice.
But also,
yeah, they'll usually put it across from the visitor's bench.
But just because you leave, whether it's girlfriends or jump-offs or roadkill tickets, you can't leave them post-game passes.
That's
one of the mistakes that young players end up making.
The post-game passes for the roadkill.
Yes.
So it's just tickets and you're out.
Correct. Just like when you go to a restaurant, you eat, you pay the bill, and you leave. There's no reason to linger.
You agree with that, Jacoby?
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with any of this. I don't agree with having your wife and your girlfriend in the same place. I don't have these problems in my life. You know what I mean? But how many tickets do you get?
At home, you're supposed to get 3 tickets.
And how do you get extra tickets?
Normally, you would ask players that aren't familiar in that town. So if I'm going to Detroit and I'm the only Detroit native on the roster, the spirit of the team was that the majority of the guys on the road would give me their 2 tickets.
Okay.
Even if they had to buy others. Like when I became a veteran player, I would give someone my 2 tickets even to buy more, just out of respect of their hometown. So everybody always going to need more than 2 and 3, so you're always buying tickets to every game.
So you're buying tickets.
My first game as a rookie when I played in Detroit, I had 80 tickets.
And you come out of pocket and buy tickets.
Yes.
I'm shocked by that.
And that's why when you get older and you start to play, you start to buy more tickets than minutes you're playing, that dynamic is off. Like when I was playing in Phoenix, I wasn't buying no tickets. I love you. We had dinner the night before. I'm not about to buy 10, 15 tickets so you can watch me sit on the bench. That ain't happening.
What Jalen is also describing is a nice way to circumvent the salary cap. So you see Lala, Carmelo's lady, sitting courtside at a Knicks game, playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she paid for those tickets?
She did not pay for those tickets. Those are tickets that belong to the team.
Right. So Carmelo
Owner
says,
seats.
Right. So Carmelo says, I need 2 courtsides for Lala. The Knicks say, sure.
Are you becoming a Celtic fan on this podcast and snitching on Carmelo Anthony and Lala right now to the NBA?
All I'm pointing out is what could they get for those tickets in the open market? Like $3,000?
Yes.
So it's like a little $3,000.
A little bump.
Doesn't count against the camp. Little wink wink gift for Mr. Anthony.
It adds up. 20 games a year, $3,000, $60,000.
Technically illegal, but everybody in the league does it, and it's cool. I mean, I don't think KG paid. Like, if KG wants 2 extra tickets for a Celtic game, I don't think they're going to be like, oh, can we get your MasterCard?
Yeah, exactly.
I think if Jordan Crawford wants tickets, they'll be like, yeah, we need a MasterCard, Jordan.
Bill Simmons, this is where I disagree with you.
You disagree with me.
Kevin Garnett, if he needs extra tickets, he's buying them.
He pays. So he goes online, like, puts in his number first. He looks in the back for that weird little number on the back. Like, that's not happening.
That's not how it works, Jacoby. How it works is you have a person that's your ticket liaison that works for the team. And they say, Knicks at Celtics tonight. KG tells her how many tickets he needs. Paul Pierce tells him how many tickets he needs. However, and when you go over your allotment that the team gives you, you are paying for them.
Mm. Let me throw this out there.
I think it depends on the team. Would be my
how long you've been there, how long you've been in the league.
Jay, I think you just played on the wrong teams.
Does Kobe Bryant pay for Laker tickets?
You played on some cheap-ass teams.
Kobe Bryant does not pay for Laker tickets. Yeah, Phoenix, Toronto's not letting you have anything. Kobe Bryant's never paid for a seat in the Staples Center. It's not happening.
Nah.
I disagree.
I disagree with you.
I disagree
with your disagreement.
Yeah,
you guys underestimate the attitude that I'm paying you $1 million, $10 million, $20 million a year. You buy your own freaking tickets.
No.
But then I would counter with you also discount the whole I'm the owner. I desperately want to be friends with these athletes on my team. Here are some tickets. I'm buying your friendship.
The owner.
You think Dan Gilbert was charging LeBron for like his giant entourage during those Cleveland seasons?
One of LeBron's entourage members was in the warm-up line before the game. So to your point, now remember when the Cavs used to take the floor after they broke huddle, and they give each other dap or do their dance or whatever. One of LeBron's homeboys was a part of that action.
And that's another way they circumvent the cap. So how many LeBron cronies were on the plane when they flew?
Probably 3.
Yeah. So you're saving airfare each time you fly anywhere because they're in the charter. Then hotels, they're not paying for that because the team gets a whole block. So you're basically saving LeBron, I don't know, $15,000 a trip, something like that.
Not a trip, but you're probably saving him.
It's like a 3-city trip?
You're probably saving him between $50 and $75,000 a year.
Are these things handshake deals or are they on paper somewhere?
No, LeBron, that's one of the reasons Gilbert was so mad when LeBron screwed him over because he'd given LeBron like the way of the house basically. His buddies got to fly on every charter.
Also, so you would say, so to your theory, you think Larry Bird never bought a ticket?
Well,
that's not true.
No, because those are different owners. I think some of these owners who have more of like they realize the goodwill part of the ownership job, and they do little perks and they pay extra to make the locker room. They put it this way: Cuban's not asking for Dirk's credit card if Dirk's family is in from Germany. But he's just giving him 4 tickets.
But this is what you got to understand: if they're in from Germany, he's hooking them up. If they move here from Germany and they need 41 tickets, they're paying for them.
Then you get. I agree with that. But I think on a game-by-game basis.
Because everybody talks. So if Paul finds out they're giving KG free tickets and Rondo finds out they're giving Paul and KG tickets, it becomes a cycle.
Let me throw this out there.
One last thing. Here's the best way I would describe this. When Jalen buys Rockin' Fish across the street.
I've never seen that.
Grilled lobster, well done.
When he buys Rockin' Fish and he changes it to Jalen's Rockin' Fish, and we go in for lunch, Are we paying for food?
I think we pay for food, but Jalen throws
There's
in
no way
like dessert
lets us
and
pay.
like an extra lobster
There's
tail.
no way he lets us pay.
But I'll allow you to leave a tip.
But
That's
you
the
would say
exact
tip the
same
servers.
thing.
Yeah.
When I'm paying you $10 million and I'm asking you to buy tickets to a game, to me, that's a tip. And you're getting them from me. You're not going to an online site where the price is 4 times more.
So it's just the two of us come in, he's paying. If we bring in 10 people, Jalen's like, I'm not, those guys are being a-holes. I'm not giving them a free 10-person dinner. I'll pay for their desserts. That's the mentality of the owner. It's their restaurant. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, this is one thing I want to say to wrap up this ticket request thing is ticket requests on athletes gets talked about a lot. Like, oh, he's playing in his hometown. Extra stress because of ticket requests. To me, it seems like a 5-minute conversation.
That's overblown.
You know what I mean? It's a 5-minute conversation. Like, oh, how many? 8? Cool. Oh, I need 8. Oh, these are the names. And then it's over.
That's overblown.
It must be, right?
It is.
Well, every team has a guy like my buddy Sully for the Celtics.
Yeah.
You're basically, remember in Shawshank Red, Morgan Freeman? He's a man who can get things.
Right.
Every team has a guy like that.
Right.
So if you want 8 seats, the Red from Shawshank spot, that guy's what handles everything.
Like, I don't think guys are on the free throw line in the fourth quarter like, oh, God, I've got to worry about my ticket request right now.
That just reminds me of the term entourage. And what I mean is, like, that term to me is not a racist term, but it has a racial overtone. And when you ask me about a lot of tickets, it reminded me of that. Here's what I mean. If I ask you to tell me 3 black players that have had professional entourages as athletes, you can name me 30. But if I ask you to name me a white guy who's had an entourage, you probably couldn't name me any.
Is that because white players work harder on their games than black players do?
And they stay after.
They're
and
in the
they do
gym. Yeah, they don't have time to
things.
develop an entourage.
No,
Yeah.
for white guys, it's called business associates, family, and friends. For black guys, it's called an entourage.
Jalen goes crazy when we're watching games, and an announcer says how hard somebody is. I love it. Black guy, Jalen's like, there it was.
Because it's true. We watching a Michigan game, and Mitch McGary does hustle. He does do the dirty work. He is a player that's always on the floor. He does give up his body. He is a player that stays after practice, after the game, after practices. But there are probably 10 other players that do that also.
Yeah.
So that becomes a generalization that's easy, low-hanging fruit.
The best article that I could never write would be a feature on how a team decides who's sitting where, like, say Game 3 tomorrow night. So my buddy Sully, who's basically in charge of where everybody sits. All right, so it's 2 o'clock. Bill Belichick calls. He wants to come in with his wife and his 2 kids. Okay, now I got to figure out where to put them. Oh, Brady's on the phone. Brady's coming in with 2 of his guys. Oh, David Ortiz. It's a day game for the Red Sox. 10 of the Red Sox are coming in. There's only so many seats. And the team controls a lot, but then it's like, so you have this seat chart basically, and it's like the Oscars or the ESPYs.
Yeah, it's like the ESPYs. Yeah.
It's like, all right, here's my seat chart. Oh, Ortiz is in. This guy gets bumped back 2 seats.
Now he's sitting behind him.
Right. So you could be like this guy who's some financial guy who you're in the 2nd row, but then Ortiz decides he's coming, and all of a sudden you're in the 8th row.
It's. I'd like to bring something up about the Clippers game that I attended.
Yeah, we both went Tuesday night.
It was as excellent.
You went with your super pregnant wife?
Yeah, went with my super pregnant wife.
Congratulations.
Now, when you go to a sports event with someone,
The name Jalen's available.
Yeah, I know. Jalen and Jacoby's got a nice ring to it. When you go to a sporting event with someone who isn't exactly a huge sports fan, they bring a different perspective to it, and they offer a lot of good insight that you don't notice.
Don't get
perspective
divorced.
is usually, boy, the food's really good there.
Yeah.
Don't get divorced, Jacoby.
No, don't worry. She says these guys are huge. She's like, they're all like 6'8", they're gigantic men. Why are they all squished together on the bench, basically sitting coach?
Money.
Why are they sitting coach on the bench?
Money.
She's like, look at them. They're huge. Like they're all bumping into each other. They're so uncomfortable. And then they have to stand up and go play basketball.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense. What's going on, Jalen
I have
Rose?
the answer for her in that question. It's because the more you suppress the bench area, the more you can add extra seats around the bench and sell them.
Money.
Well, she says that's why these guys are always getting injured.
Oh.
I was like, whoa.
Now, I don't know about that.
It's interesting.
But it is an interesting theory. It's
They're little tiny fold-up
By the way,
chairs.
you just described why people like Hashim Thabit stand the whole game and block the people in the first row.
Yeah.
So if you're on that bench and you have a choice of being like this,
Right next to your
and
buddy?
looking for, or standing up, I'm standing up.
True.
Like, you can't, like, your just legs are just pressed up against each other on each side. Like, Rony Turioff is uncomfortable the entire game.
That's a
No,
very
well,
good
that's
point.
why Phil Jackson, when his back went, he got that Mac Daddy relax the back chair that he sat in that was like took up 2 seats.
Yeah.
basically.
True. And Michael Jordan, when he played with the Bulls and they were at the Chicago Stadium, then United Center, you remember they used to have their bench and almost like MJ, Scotty, and Robin would kind of sit on the baseline with 3 chairs.
Yeah.
Or like you mentioned, Larry Bird, he would come to the bench and lay on the floor with his
Nash
back
did that
injury,
too.
or Steve
Well, now
Nash
they
that
also
doesn't
have the 2 rows of bozos behind the bench. It's like 7 assistant coaches.
I feel like so much
3
shit-
guys who aren't playing.
If I was Rony Turioff, I'd be like, I'd go to Vinny on this. I'd be like, can we just lose an assistant coach and gain a little bit of room?
Yeah.
Like, I think this is a good trade-off.
How many assistant coaches does a team need, realistically?
Realistically, max 3.
Max 3.
Maximum 3.
You had the best coaching situation ever in the late 90s in Indiana.
I did.
You had Bird?
Larry Bird was the CEO. Just think of it as a company. Larry Bird is the CEO/head coach.
Mm-hmm.
You could take that theory in any sport, any business model. Then you had his offensive coordinator or associate head coach, Rick Carlisle. Then you had his defensive coordinator, his defensive coach, Dick Harder. That's it.
And a trainer.
A trainer, equipment guy, keep it simple,
You had
keep it clean.
Joe Q.
Yes, indeed. My guy.
Bird brought him from Boston.
That's my guy.
Weird, crazy story. He was in my fantasy basketball draft in the mid-'90s for years and years, and then Bird got that job, and he was like, yeah, Joe Q's out. Bird brought him to Indiana. It's like, really?
He did.
Yeah.
And
Bald equipment manager.
And I've told you this story, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people who work in the arena at Celtics games and Celtics players are going to say, I knew that was original. So Larry Bird was unceremoniously let go out of Boston for whatever reason.
He wasn't even let go. He was just kind of phased out
It
and
wasn't really
ignored.
unceremonious.
He was just,
kind of like...
ML Carr took over, and they was like, all right, Larry, whatever.
Yeah.
That's the same
He
thing.
wasn't
Yeah,
he
same
didn't
thing.
properly exit. Yeah.
Unceremoniously.
Sure, fair. No ceremony. There was no ceremony. Fair. You're factually correct.
Okay, so he becomes the coach of the Indiana Pacers, and there's always some friction when a Hall of Fame player goes back to play against his former team.
Yeah.
And I was on the Pacers. I was one of the major players on our team. So at the beginning of, at the end of shoot around, I would take a marker and I would write LB33 in center court. All of the time.
Did he know that?
I never told him.
Well,
I never told anyone. I never let anyone see me do it.
Okay. Well, how do you not let anyone see you do it? There's no one in
Because
the
I used to
arena?
wait till people start walking out of the arena. You know, people getting ice and people talking to the media, people leaving. I just kind of lingered back.
So you're basically putting up a tag on center floor.
Yes.
Okay.
You're hood.
We didn't.
But that's what it's called.
You got ups in the garden.
Exactly, like Ramo from B Street, huh? Ramo! But yes, so it used to actually be a thrill for me to come back at the game that night and see that on the court. It was motivation. I had some very good games playing at
I went
Boston.
to all those games because that's when that was during the Patino era when my dad never wanted to go. And Bird would get applauded. You know, the players would be out, they'd be warming up, everybody would be staring, waiting for the thing, because he was still like, and he still is to some degree, like the Jesus of Boston sports.
No doubt.
Very much so.
He'd come out, everybody would stand up, applaud him. Then we'd applaud him a second time when they introduced him. I mean, it was just, it's crazy that he wasn't always involved with the Celtics. And I think he wanted to be at one point, but then they screwed it up.
But we talk about free agency and players moving around and players hugging and fraternizing with one another, and we wonder why they do it. Well, you would never have thought that Hall of Fame player like Larry Bird, not with the Celtics organization, elite player like Michael Jordan, not with the Bulls organization. So as a player, you think, I have to look out for myself somewhere in this mix, in this puzzle.
Right. That's why how Cuban is handling the Dirk thing is so smart. He's just like, Dirk's retiring with the Mavericks.
Yeah, he's a Maverick.
He will always be a Maverick, and he'll be here as long as he... Like, players notice that stuff, and they also notice the way he treated Tyson Chandler. So I guess the flip side of that would be...
So I got some breaking news that people aren't going to like. And when you said about Dirk and Cuban, it reminded me of Kobe and the Lakers.
Oh, yeah, we wanted to talk about that.
I love my mom and my grandmother to death.
Okay.
I'll get in front of any bullet, any bus, any train for either one of them.
Okay.
But if it could save me $80 million, they're getting amnestied.
Really?
Yes. This is the way that the Lakers can rebuild their franchise.
Wait, is this the thing where we talked about last time on the 3-man pod where Jalen knows
Yes. Yes.
where that's like Jalen and Magic just know
You did say it was breaking news.
Yeah, all right. Keep going.
Is this a breaking opinion or breaking news?
This is a breaking opinion that is going to become more of a discussion than people really, truly realize.
If only we had someone who was a super nerd about NBA contracts here at this
I'm
table.
ready.
All right, and here we go. So, you're the Lakers. The timeline is 6 to 9 months for Kobe's return.
And that's really generous.
That's unrealistic.
Yeah.
In 6 months, it's mid-October.
Yeah.
What happens in mid-October? Training camp, preseason.
Yeah.
I would deem that Kobe Bean Bryant, in his 18th year, coming off an Achilles injury, will not be ready for preseason. So you push that between 6 and 9 months, you get between October, December, and January, right? So now, how does he show that he's ready to come back in that period? You're putting him out there for 15 minutes. He has 4 points. He looks pretty good. You got to do that every now and then. Put him out there for 25 minutes. He has 15 points. Looks pretty good. But this is your player that you're paying $30 million to, and he already said he's retiring at the end of next season. Is that really how you want him to go out? Is that really how he wants to go out? What were the Lakers when Kobe Bryant was healthy this year? What seed?
9.
An 8 seed.
Exactly. He's coming back to the same situation
With
that
no
ran
draft
him
picks,
in the ground.
no cap space.
Correct. I would be living at Kobe Bryant's house if I was a member of management. I love you, Vino. You want me to get you another glass of wine? You want me to take the kids to school? Whatever you need me to do. I love you. I want you to be the ambassador of our franchise that Magic Johnson was. I'm going to put your statue up. I want you to have an ownership stake in this team. But I need you to sit out next year. I can't have you coming back rehabbing in and out of the lineup next year. I got to figure what I'm going to do with Dwight. What am I going to do with Powell? Can't bring back Nash as the starting point guard. 5 games into the year, you needed him. You had to fire a coach. 5 games late when you won 5 straight, you needed him to play. He was injured.
I have a better scenario. I see all those points. The part you left out, the insurance pays 80% of his contract if he can't play. So it'd save $24 million. Now, that wouldn't have anything to do with the amnesty. But they have first of all, they can amnesty Artest, who makes 8. They would save $24 million off the bat with that. So then they're saving another $24 million with Kobe. You add those two together, now you're at 48 minus the 8 that they'd have to actually pay Artest. So they'd save $40 million there. If they amnestied Kobe, they'd save 80, but they'd still have to pay him the 30. So it'd really be 50. So it's about the same to do it. Now, here's the catch. They trade Gasol to Houston. Now, Houston's a team with cap space, or Cleveland. They also have cap space. Let's say they trade Gasol to Houston for Chandler Parsons, who makes like $1 million next year. You offer that trade. If you're the Rockets, you kind of have to do that.
Yeah.
Because you're getting Pau Gasol on a contract year. You have his rights for the year after. You have the money to make that jump for a year. The Lakers, they cut $19 million in that trade.
But does that work salary-wise?
It works salary-wise because Houston could get under the cap to accommodate it. So the Lakers, by chopping the $19 million, they'd be saving $57 there. And then Kobe insurance would be another $24. Then they keep his rights for the after 2014, which is the big thing. If they amnesty him, it's much harder to bring him back in year 19.
He's not playing anywhere else.
You'd think. But if how weird
you think Kobe Bryant want to be rehabbing?
Here's the problem with your plan, though, is it involves Kobe Bryant not playing basketball next year.
Well, that's the thing.
And that's not going to happen.
If they keep him, he's going to come back. I think he's going to come back because of the points, because he's competitive.
And he's a weirdo.
Because he doesn't know what to do with his life. He's an overcompetitive weirdo.
Yeah.
He's already going nuts, as we saw from the Game 1 Twitter, and then he had to back out in Game 2. He's coming back. And if they amnesty him, he'll come back for a playoff team in February, March, April. And now you're risking he'll stay with that team. Couldn't you see him signing with Miami?
I wouldn't see Kobe Bryant leaving
Could
Los
you see him
Angeles
signing with
Lakers.
New York?
No. He would not play for
Could you see him
another
signing
team.
with the Clippers?
So
But
if he was amnestied, he would sign for another team.
But that's where the relationship and trust comes in, guys.
But who is the relationship with?
That's the problem of the decision, that you don't have a Dr. Jerry Buss here, rest in peace, to make that transition to where Kobe trusts you. Remember, I said I'm at his house right now shining his shoes.
But who are you, Kupchak? Like, who is it?
Well, here's the X factor to the X factor. So they had this board of governors. They announced all this news, and one of the pieces of the news was after Dr. Jerry Buss's death, they have officially transferred ownership to Jeannie Buss and the Lakers. That was what the story was. I was like, Jeannie Buss? Boy, that's weird. So we were working on Countdown with our friend Magic Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, Magic, we're just hanging out in the green room. Hey, Magic, why did they say they're transferring it to Jeannie Buss? And then Magic kind of did I don't know, but it was clear that Magic knows everything.
Of course he does.
He wasn't going to say anything. But
sounds like Game of Thrones.
The whole thing made me think like, okay, so could Jeannie be buying out Jimmy's part?
Oh.
She gets control of the team. Phil comes back in some undefined role. Magic comes back in the inner circle because he's clearly not now. Like, they're basically getting the band back together. Instead of enlisting Kobe, you bring him back. You figure out what to do with Powell for a year. And you just you're focused on that LeBron 2014. Everything heads toward that.
Let me throw this out there. LeBron James is not going to be a Laker in his career.
You don't think he's going to be a Laker?
No.
Because that's their real play here.
No. And here's why more than anything. That would be his third team. LeBron James is an elite level player who controls his own destiny. He does not want to play for three teams.
See, that doesn't make sense to me. Explain that. Is that just like as an athlete, why is that important?
Okay.
Shaq played for 6 teams.
I wouldn't mind working for 3 companies.
Shaq played for 3 teams, and he got checks for 3 other teams.
True. Good point.
Fair.
LeBron James.
No, you should have said he played for 3 teams and he ate for 3 teams.
So when you're LeBron James, Jacoby, you're thinking about your legacy. You're very conscious of your place in a franchise's history. Mm-hmm. There's only one NBA player to have his number retired by 3 different teams. Wilt Chamberlain. Right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know that for a fact.
Philly, Lakers, San Francisco. Yeah, you're right.
Only one. That's not happening again for any player.
You didn't mention the reason why I don't think it's going to happen. I think Riley's working on those guys about owning this decade and being a dynasty, and we win this year. We have a chance now to roll off 5 in a row. You can't leave now. I think all that stuff's already happening.
I love Riley like everybody else, but I can't give him credit for this. LeBron James is only going to play either for the Miami Heat or the Cleveland Cavaliers.
So why is that important?
Oh, I think the Cavs are out now.
Stability.
That's why they hired Mike Brown. I think they hired Mike Brown partly to kind of cut ties with the LeBron thing. I agreed with Wojnarowski. I thought that was a big part of that hiring.
The stability of his legacy. He can't continue to move teams. Kevin Garnett and LeBron James both left teams to win championships. Mm-hmm. Perennial All-Stars, Olympians, in LeBron's case, an MVP. Other players that did the same thing. Chris Paul, Darren Williams, Dwight Howard, they're on the clock. And LeBron James has accomplished so much, he doesn't have to chase it anymore. Remember, we were all over him about chasing it.
Yeah.
He don't have to chase it anymore. He's in Miami, tax-free state. Pat Riley's making decisions. Dwayne Wade is going to retire there. Chris Bosh is going to be there.
South Beach.
All he had, they're going to resign the Birdman for another 2 or 3 years. He's found a home. That's where he'll be.
He's got season tickets behind the bench and then across from the visitors bench.
Across from
I think he could leave. I don't think he really cares about that stuff, as we found out when he stabbed Cleveland in the back. I don't know if he has the right people advising him. And I'll tell you this much. I told you my theory about his agents. I have a conspiracy theory about LeBron switching agents.
So, good. We haven't done enough hypothetical weird theories yet.
People love this stuff. So LeBron is with CAA and Leon Rose, and Leon Rose is tied with World Wide West.
Yep, Fresh
One of the
West.
greatest human beings of all time.
Fresh West.
LeBron leaves Leon Rose and World Wide West to sign with Shorty, a.k.a. Rich Paul, who was with Leon Rose and World Wide West kind of like in that whole circle. Be the equivalent of if you spun off Grantland and Jalen just ditched me and went with you, but he had a actually, you probably would do that. Wouldn't you?
That's a good move. That's a good move. Roll with the winners.
So now, if you wanted to spin off, I would support you. I'd be excited, like whatever. I'm rooting for Jacoby.
Not true.
Then I try to murder him.
Not true.
No, but I think everybody was like, "Oh, Rich Bond, no, this is great. No, we want it." But it can't be great if you're Leon Rose and you lose LeBron James. I don't think
it's never
any
good.
scenario where that's great.
I agree.
It's not good for Wes. Wes is tied in. He's inner circle. Like, I went to Game 6 of the Boston series, 2012. The greatest game LeBron's ever played. One of the greatest things I've ever seen in person. He had two people at that game. They were both across from the Celtics bench. It was Wes and it was Lynn Merritt from Nike. Those are the two people that he had. Those are the two people that he was looking at after every shot. So I find it really hard to believe that LeBron went from that moment with Wes to, I'm out, I'm going with Shorty, I don't need you guys anymore. Okay. So now you have Jay-Z.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Robinson Cano, Victor
I like
Cruz.
where this is going.
He also just signed Skylar Diggins.
Skylar Diggins, yep.
Jay-Z starting a sports agency, doing it through CAA.
Sold his ownership in the Nets.
Who works for CAA? Worldwide West.
Mm-hmm.
Represents coaches. Kind of a power broker for them. Who's close to the Jay-Z? LeBron James. What do they have every year at All-Star Weekend? The Two Kings.
Two Kings party.
Why would you launch your agency if you're Jay-Z and the name that you announce is Robinson Cano?
He also is alleged to have Nerlens Noel out of Kentucky also.
Well,
who is tight with Kentucky?
You seen LeBron James at Kentucky games, right? You seen Jay-Z at Kentucky games, right?
Who else? Who is patient X for all of this?
Wes.
Worldwide West.
Fresh West.
Who is tighter in with that Kentucky program than anybody. All legally. That's the thing with Wes, is people think he pays. He doesn't pay anybody. He's all about like the connections.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you looking at me that way? He really is.
I'm
He doesn't
interested
pay
in what
anybody.
you're saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if you're Wes and you want to take LeBron from point A to point B, which is to take him from CAA to Jay-Z, to make it seem like you're pulling him from Leon, your buddy, to Jay-Z, your buddy, without having it really be contentious, maybe you make a little stop. Now you're making point A to point C.
Like LeBron wants to be with his buddy.
Shorty.
An intermediate stop.
Oh, Shorty didn't work out. No, now I'm going to go with Jay-Z. But secretly, you've launched Shorty's business. Shorty has all these athletes now. Now, Shorty has his turf.
Drew Holiday.
Leon's fine. LeBron stayed with CAA. Jay-Z launches the thing. Now you have Two Kings Global. I think that's how this plays out. I have no inside information whatsoever. The whole thing just feels fishy to me.
You just connected all of the dots.
I like
not to have
that.
any
You like it?
information.
I like that. I like that. I like that. It's based on no actual facts from the inside.
No
it's
facts
all
at all.
conjecture, and it totally works.
But what is one of my best skills, though?
Bro, how does
looking
Leon-
at the chessboard.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the
Clairvoyant
chessboard.
Bill.
Clairvoyant Bill doesn't like this whole setup. I refuse to believe that Worldwide West isn't involved with the
But
Jay-Z
how does
thing.
Leon win there? Like, I see how Shorty wins, because Shorty's signing guys now because he's got LeBron. So he takes a little bit of a bump there. But how does Leon get a W?
Leon gets a W.
No one gets a
because
W from losing LeBron.
At some point, Leon goes into this Jay-Z thing. I think that's the final piece. Now, the question would be, why wouldn't they have just waited and moved him? Like, this is the hole in my theory. If Leon's going to be involved with the Jay-Z thing,
Yeah, that's a smoother transition.
why wouldn't...
Here's another hole in your theory.
Okay.
People are underestimating what a manager does, which is, in theory, what Jay-Z's going to do, and what an agent does, which he is not, and he hopes to be. If Robinson Cano gets pinch hit for in the 8th inning, Jay-Z isn't going to be calling Joe Girardi.
Yeah.
CAA Sports is. When it's time for him to negotiate his $200 million deal, he's not going to be calling the Steinbrenners. CAA Sports is.
But I mean, we don't think Jay-Z is going to be like Ari from Entourage.
But
I feel like he's going to set up this agency and be the front man for it and probably go to the big meetings, but ultimately he's going to have people working for him.
But the base of an athlete's core business is what they get paid from the team. It's not endorsements. It's not sponsorships. Only a couple of people like a LeBron James before he plays get a $90 million deal from Nike, and he's making more than he makes from his team. That's only 0.1% of players. Everyone else, their core business is team, agent, contract.
Yeah.
That's the core business. Now, if I can put some management in there, somebody can help me get some endorsements, get some appearances. I'm a fan of his. I see he's successful in a lot of different business endeavors. Hey, what's going on with 4040? Hey, what's going on with shoes? Hey, can I be in a video? Hey, can I start a record label? That's when that becomes more attractive. But that's the part that your question about Leon and or Shorty and or Wes, remember, all three of those people have one thing in common. They're still at CAA.
Well, Shorty's not at CAA, though, is he?
In theory.
Really?
Yes.
I thought he spun off his own thing.
In theory, yes.
I don't even know what that means.
I just think Jay-Z and LeBron are going to end up colliding forces here.
And why not?
I'd be very surprised.
Do you think that the Nets ownership was disappointed that Jay-Z was not able to help them land an elite free agent when they were recruiting him? Dwayne Wade went on a visit. LeBron James went on a visit.
Oh, in 2010.
Carmelo Anthony declined a visit.
The problem is those guys all made a blood handshake deal in 2008 before the Nets even. The Bosh Wade LeBron 3:30 in the morning in Shanghai.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you the Don in all of these chessboard pieces that we're talking about. Let me tell you who's actually the winner in all of this.
Yeah.
Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't understand. The thing about Jay-Z being in this role is the age of the athletes that he would be signing. Because we're older, so we saw Jay-Z sort of like become something. But if you're 20 years old, ever since you've been an adult, Jay-Z has been an icon. You know, he's like a legend. And I think that when you're 20, Jay-Z means a lot more than when you're 40.
Who was the Jay-Z when you came into the league in 1994?
They were...
Dr. Dre.
No, it was more like Master P, MC Hammer.
Oh, look how that worked out.
Those were
Who was the one who negotiated Ricky Williams' contract?
That was Master P.
For the worst contract anyone's ever negotiated in the history of sports.
But that's my point to you.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being my manager and or being my agent. I think Jay-Z is smart enough to stay in his lane. He's not going to be calling Tulsa, Oklahoma about Skylar Diggins' minutes in a game or about what they're doing with the team. He's going to look at her and how he can help make her a brand.
Yeah, I was going to add to that point. I think Jay-Z is going to look at this agency the same way he would look at a club in the VIP room of a club. Like they're not signing Mike Miller. They're not signing people like that. It's all going to be people who can be promoted in 3, 4, 5 different ways. It's all going to be brandable people. And even somebody like Cano, who you would never think would be a brand, but he's going to be the best Yankee for the next couple of years. He is a brand.
But here's the hard thing. They're still really the same endorsees in professional sports. It's not like all of a sudden you wake up tomorrow and here's a big new corporate sponsor.
New car company, yeah.
Yes, like for the most part, these relationships just kind of go from side to side.
Gatorade, Nike.
So what happens is I'm a fan of yours, I'm a friend of yours, and you manage me is one part of the relationship. I'm calling you because I want to make some money off the field, off the court, is another relationship. That's the part that's going to be interesting as it plays out.
But how much does stardom have to do with this? Because, all right, 1994, you're coming to the league. Eric B. and Rakim have started a sports agency.
I give you a real example.
Would you have signed with them?
Master P.
Did you like Master P as much as those guys?
Did he court you?
We played a game at home versus Iowa. MC Hammer was sitting courtside, and he ended up representing one of the players, A.C. Earl, that played for Iowa.
Oh, God, former Celtic. So he signed A.C. Earl?
He did.
Well, what a terrible combo that ended up being. Holy mackerel.
Yes. So,
oh, my God.
I applaud the J Princes of Rap-A-Lot Records, Master P of No Limit Records, YMCMB now with Baby and Slim and Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, Puffy, 50, now Rick Ross, even Jeezy. These guys have become moguls. They have taken just rapping on the microphone into now I know how to build an industry. I know how to build a team.
A brand.
And therefore, I'm going to be able to, you're Robinson Cano, you're the man on the Yankees, I should be able to get you play. That's the thought process. You're Victor Cruz, you're on the Giants, I should be able to get you play. Now, if it happens, that's going to be the real proving ground. The fandom ends eventually. Eventually, you meet the family. There's Beyonce. Come to a couple of videos. You know, here's the Nike deal. All right, cool. But now I'm trying to make a couple of 100,000 away from the field.
You left out one crucial part. It's not just the fame with the athletes. It's the companies. And Jay-Z has a thing, and it's like Jay-Z wants to come to Nike and have a meeting, and they're dropping everything for that meeting. Jay-Z wants to go, I can clear up my schedule on May 9th. He's getting any meeting he wants. If he gets a meeting, he says, yeah, let's do a deal with Robinson and my WNBA player and LeBron, and I'll give you a 3-for-1.
This is what needs to happen. He needs to start a media division and sign me.
You're not leaving us, Jalen.
That's what needs to happen.
Wow, you just broke Nick Khan's heart.
Not at all. Nick is my agent.
At
So you're saying a manager now? Now you want a manager?
There's two different...
I'm your manager.
Yeah, you are. This is true.
I do it for free.
This is true, yes. Yeah, I can't lie about that.
You're my first client.
I know. This is true.
BS Enterprises.
True indeed.
Who should I sign with? Jay-Z or
BS?
Bill Simmons?
No,
I'm already signed.
BS Enterprises. You have a handshake agreement.
That's better than any contract.
How would you describe your relationship with Jay-Z in 2 words?
Awesome, in one word.
Awesome in one word.
I have a very good relationship with him. He indirectly, fingers crossed, is going to make sure the students at the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy get some kicks.
We're always trying to get them kicks.
This is why, Jacoby.
Are they barefoot running around the hallways?
No, sir. How many pairs of shoes do you go through in a month?
Yeah, I've seen Jacoby's closet. I've got
a lot of shoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it okay for me to try to get them 3 pair?
But they have uniforms, don't they?
But all black.
Yeah. Oh, so the shoes have to be all black.
Remember, I have a tuition-free public charter high school.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain parents that don't want to buy or can't buy 3 blazers.
Yeah.
Can't buy 3 white shirts.
And all black sneakers.
Can't pay the light bill and drop my kids off at school and daycare for my other 2 kids, plus pay for the mortgage, plus pay for rent. Like, there are so many bills that come with the situation. If I could alleviate one of them, that has to help. And for somebody that played basketball, to me, it's almost like a craftsman should be able to always get tools.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should be able to always get shoes.
All right, fellas, let's actually take this to a part 2. But before we do, a word from our friends at Subway.
Hurry to Subway restaurants for the Smokehouse Barbecue Chicken. Tender pulled chicken topped with a smoky, sweet barbecue sauce on your favorite freshly baked bread. Try it as a $6 foot-long special or 6-inch fresh fit sub for a limited time only. Subway. Eat fresh.
So I get % off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.
Geico presents Strange Saving Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.